my long arm in like 3 years because of work and my building project. So I did share in the bingo page a bunch of my stuff. And so I'm just like I'm just practicing so that I can start tackling some of my projects. So I've been doing a lot of doodling and working on just some muslin. So that's what I've been up to.
Cool. That's very cool. Well, we're glad you're here tonight, Diane.
Thank you.
I'm struggling trying to get my video now, Heidi. I even went out and started over again.
Okay, so let me ask.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Don't.
Okay, I just asked you to start your video, so a pop-up should come up.
Oh, it says okay.
Yep. And look,
Oh,
and there she
I am.
appears.
Wow. That was kind of magic.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Connie Jensen from St. Ansgar. And what else were we supposed to say? I've been working on Kim Deal projects.
Very good. He doesn't say if you have any show and tell that you want to do any show and tell, you can do that.
It's a class sample, so I left it in my car for class on Saturday. I'm so sorry. And I'm gonna cut out a bunch of, my granddaughter graduates this year, and so I always give people that I get invited to their graduations pillowcases for graduation gifts. I found some really cute material, so tomorrow I'm gonna make a bunch of pillowcases for her friends.
Well, that's fun.
So yeah, just do a bunch.
That sounds cool.
And I think I've got Shirley and I and a couple of friends are coming down on Monday to see you.
Well, that'll be fun. We'll enjoy having you come.
Okay.
We're coming to get
up.
cash, Heidi. We're coming to get cash.
Scott, you got until March 30th to earn your lucky cash. You got till March 30th at midnight.
All
So
right.
And that means we can come back in April.
that's exactly right.
We know.
Yeah.
Shirley has a plan for it.
Oh, that is good. Hang on. And one more minute. I'm trying to help Charisma here.
I think I'm in.
There we go. And okay. And then obviously if you have whatever is playing in the background, if you have to put your mute on so that there's Charisma, she made it in. So turn off whatever the background noise is or put your own mute on so that we don't have that. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Who would like to go next for introductions?
I'm Diane. I'm from Cordova, Alaska. And so I don't have any hand projects going at this moment. I'm scrambling for the next 48 hours. I'm going to take the ferry and go up to Anchorage, my first travel after all this craziness. So anyway, I'll bring hand projects on there, but just scrambling, trying to get everything done so I can get on the ferry.
Awesome. We have learned a lot about shipping to Alaska and we love it, Diane. And like, is everything making it in one piece? I assume it is, or you'd let us know.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like you guys give me almost instant gratification.
And so does your mail have to come across a ferry to get to you?
Most of it gets flown in, unless you go parcel, then it can come really slow boat. I ordered, something that was kind of time sensitive for a class, and I ordered it on the 19th of February, and the class started on March 8th, and I just got it yesterday. So that wasn't helpful. but they did the parcel select or something rather than you guys normally do priority. So it's pretty efficient. Yeah. Usually within 3 to 5 days, I have it when I order from you guys. So that's pretty good by Alaska standards. Yeah. Yeah. Not as good as coming to your store.
Well, you're a little ways away, but maybe someday you'll be able to come. So
yeah.
In fact, I grew up in Anchorage.
Is that Charisma?
All right.
Yeah. Oh, am I not on camera?
No, let's see. Let me ask you to start your video.
Yeah. Okay. Start my video. Sorry.
There you go. You got
No,
it.
it says failed to start video. Please select other. Oh, I don't know. Sorry.
Let me ask again. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Let me ask. And let's see. You should get a pop-up that says,
Yeah. And I don't know what's going on. I'm on Zoom all the time, but I don't know why it's not, my camera for some reason is saying it's not working now. Cannot start video. Failed to start the video camera. Please select another video camera in settings. I don't know. Sorry.
it's okay. It's okay, Charisma. Technology is great, but we also understand that it can be frustrating. We don't want it to be frustrating. So just, you know what? We'll just deal with it. But go ahead and tell us. So you grew up in Anchorage?
I did grow up in Anchorage. So I moved to Washington State when I started high school. So.
Ah, a small world.
Yep.
It is really a small world. I mean, look at right here. We've got this little niche of, there's some camera starting. You've got some video now on your screen.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
All right. Very good. Okay, who has not made introductions yet? Minerva?
Yes, I have nothing on my screen.
That's okay. And do you have video capability, Minerva?
Yep.
Well, let me see if
at you.
Well, I know you can probably see us, but we can't see you.
Okay, it says the host has asked you to start your video, okay?
So can you
Or later.
click? No, click on that.
There,
Look
I am.
at, see? Now we can see your smiling
Ow.
face too.
Enjoyed your last newsletter.
Oh,
We had your
awesome.
grandma in it.
Oh, that's wonderful, Minerva. I'm glad you did.
Because I knew your grandma.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
You did. Wouldn't she have fun with all of this? I don't know how she'd do with the technology, but she'd have fun talking to all of you.
Well, I'm not so good with it either, but she was a very smart lady. She would do okay. She would do okay.
Yep, she would have figured it out, as we all have. Right. I'm proud of my own mother, who, by the way, if you have not seen my post on my personal page, it's her 80th birthday today.
Oh, wow.
And
Awesome.
yeah,
Okay.
and she can't figure out how to get on my personal Facebook page, so she can't see the post that I posted about her. So tonight I called her and I read all the comments to her.
Oh,
Yeah, enjoyed it. So
that's
So I'm
sweet.
working on the Stargazer thing, the kit that I got.
Oh, that's a great one. Are you working on the individual blocks?
I have the individual blocks done. I'm working on the sashing and stuff that goes in between. But
You've made progress since since you got it. It hasn't been that long since you got it.
well, when you're stuck in the house all by yourself, you get stuff done.
Well, that is good.
So,
That is good. Well, I'm glad. Now, did everybody make an introduction? Looking to see, except for Charisma, and we'll come back to Charisma in a minute and see as she continues. I'm sure to work on. I'm going to ask her to start the video again and see if it'll come up there again. Okay, so obviously I'm Heidi, and I thought I would show you a quilt, and maybe I'll step out of the way. I don't know. When we talk about embroidery, I think part of the reason I do love handwork is that my grandmother did everything by hand, and never owned a rotary cutter. So she cut everything with the scissors and pulled threads, marked all of her seam allowances with, by hand. Of course, we did a ton of cross stitch growing up, all that kind of stuff too. But I love handwork, and I love being able to have the textures and the different things that are going on, with the handwork. And I, of course, do use a rotary cutter now. And when I look at the quilt that's behind me, you can see that there's a green plaid that I use. Now, if Grandma had made this, she would have lined up every one of those plaid pieces. They would have all been straight. Like if you look at any of the plaid quilts that she's made, everything is straight. And like there's one that has house windows and the windows all match each other. So the fact that she did that with no rotary cutter and, all by hand, just amazes me. I used a rotary cutter. It's cattywampus, nothing is straight, whatever. But this particular quilt I made several years ago as a remembrance of our first Great Iowa tractor ride. My husband loves the Pony Motor Start diesel, 1956, whatever it is. And I have a 1956 John Deere 40, which is, it's a wide front, so I don't have to worry about, I can stay nice and steady on the road, that kind of thing. So for many years, until children and jobs got a little busier, we would go on the Great Iowa Tractor Ride, which for those of you who are not in Iowa, basically you go 12 miles an hour for 3 days somewhere in the state of Iowa on your tractor. And there could be hundreds of tractors. I know, Diane, I know, it's funny, isn't it? But it's fabulous because it's sort of like quilters getting together. It's just that it's these guys, mostly guys, are super excited about their tractors. And I just enjoyed the people and love Iowa and the scenic, there was only one ride that I can tell you that I was like, and this is why people think Iowa is flat. And that was it was in the Clarion, Iowa area. And man, it was flat, 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 but Iowa is not flat in many places. And so we got to see a lot of beautiful parts of Iowa. And when you're going 12 miles an hour, you can really see it and take it in. And so, and then we, have sort of like a big picnic every lunch, big picnic every supper with all of these people. And we still, even though we haven't been on the tractor ride for years, we still exchange Christmas cards with many of them. And actually, if you listen to my radio show a couple of weeks ago, Kristen Clark was a guest, and she actually referred to Henry as Henry Jack. And those first few years when Henry was really little and we were on the tractor ride, everybody, would call him Henry Jack. And I hadn't heard that other people call him that in a long time. So that was kind of fun. So this is my tribute to the tractor ride. The background is a log cabin in a straight furrow. And I feel like there's a lot of symbolism to the state of Iowa and to our farming heritage. Then there's both needle turn applique, wool applique, and embroidery that does the path and that winds around the outside. And then I also used photo transfers as a way to get several pieces of information. So there are pictures of the tractors. There's pictures of my husband and I. My tractor is right here. This is mine. That's my, this is actually my, the 420, which was my anniversary gift, which I can tell you about. Or sorry, birthday gift. And then some old artwork from Harold Haskell. I love the idyllic picture of the woman at the door ringing the bell, the dogs running up, the little boys at her feet. Anyway, and so then there's a ton of embroidery on the corn and the flowers and stuff. So it's a little bit of everything. So I thought, well, when we're talking about embroidery, that it would be a fun quilt to share. So, and don't ever make the mistake I made. And that is when my husband said that he found a tractor for sale and it was like a week before my birthday. I said, oh, it'd be a great birthday gift. And he looked at me and he said, really? And I said, sure, why not? I figured I wasn't going to get a gift anyway. And so I, anyway, and so he went and bought it and gave it to me for my birthday. That was my birthday gift in our first tractor. So I thought it was only fitting that I gave him a Bernina Serger at Christmas. And I said, you're going to benefit from it because I'm going to serge pillows. But he thought I was still getting the better end of the deal, that I was getting both this great tractor and a Bernina Serger. And he wasn't sure how the Serger was going to help him. So, yeah. So yeah, don't make that mistake. And say, oh, sure, just get me a tractor for my birthday. But anyway, so So anyways, I love to do embroidery. So that's why I focused the month of March. I kind of pulled a few things together, meaning that when you read about my grandmother and all the handwork that she did, I thought that was fitting then to include some about some information about embroidery. And of course, the pattern that was included from Charisma features her penny note pattern and the embroidery on that. And so I invited her to join us. So obviously, Charisma, we can hear you, even though we can't see you. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and what you like to do?
Sure. I am Charisma Horton, and I would say, well, I'm a prolific quilter, but I have a variety of designs, but I really started quilting with embroidery. I learned how to do several variety of stitches, and then I had all of these little embroidery stitcheries and I didn't know what to do with them. And so I asked my grandmother-in-law at the time, when she would go out yard selling on Fridays, if she could pick up a cheap sewing machine for me, and then I could figure out how to put these little stitcheries together. And she said, oh, no. I'll give you the sewing machine that I got for my wedding, 40 plus years ago, because I just moved up to the computerized version of machine. And she brought over this old metal Ricard in a desk that I still love because it's just so special to me. And I learned how to quilt. So that's sort of how it got started. And then I've been a long arm quilter for about 11 years. And I took the leap into pattern design about 2 years ago. And ever since then, I've published about 200 designs, and I've been in 60 to 70 magazines. And I've just kind of been doing a smear of things. So embroidery, modern quilts, colorful quilts, traditional quilts, everything in between.
And has anybody gone onto our website and seen any of Charisma's work? I'm gonna try sharing my screen, and let me just hang on a second. I better get it open first so that I don't.
I'm going to see if I can just join the meeting on my phone so that maybe
Go for it.
that will work better than my computer.
You bet. And so I'm going to go back here. Okay. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go here. And if so I did a radio interview with Charisma a couple of weeks ago. And so can you all see my screen at this point?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so here is, since we can't see her on the video at the moment, this is Charisma. And so if you want to go back and ever listen to that radio show, this is where you can go on our website. And a couple of the patterns that we have in the store besides her penny notes. So the carousel one, I think, is a great example of the kind of, let's see if I can get it bigger so you guys can see it. It's the biggest I can get it at the moment, but these caught my attention. I've told Charisma this a couple of times. Obviously, I was at American Patchwork and Quilting for years, so I follow them on social media, and she did a social media takeover. And all of a sudden, the feed was just full of these beautiful, bright quilts. And that is how I started finding out who Charisma was and is. And so Carousel is an example of the kind of bright, more contemporary quilts. And anything you want to say about that quilt, Charisma?
Well, carousel is, I started out with some color theory classes when I started doing guild workshops. And so I just started designing quilts playing with the color wheel. And that was one of the first ones. It was like probably number 2 or 3 that I kind of designed. I wanted to make it simplistic enough that you didn't have to go buy 20 different shades of colors, but I wanted to be a dynamic design that you totally knew it was, based upon the color wheel. And So it's been a pretty popular pattern because you really do only need to go buy 10 different fabrics, and then, you know, you don't have to spend 50 hours in the fabric shop looking for every shade of red in between. And so it's been a really good, and they're easy blocks to construct, but it's just a dynamic design that makes them look harder than it is to complete.
And I'm
So-
glad we can see you now on your phone. I can see
Oh, you can.
I can see
Okay,
you. Yes,
good.
you're
Okay.
on twice, obviously, once the computer and once. So yes, we can see you. And there
Okay,
is a
so-
man there is a man lurking over your shoulder in case we should be concerned about that.
He's trying to help me figure out why the computer wouldn't work. So
That's quite all right. I didn't mean to scare him away. I just thought it was kind of funny. You know what I mean?
yeah. Okay.
Okay. And let's see. Let's go back to oh, I got to go back to this page again. And so I loved what was funny was that about the time that I kind of found Charisma, then a fabric sales rep came in to the store. And when a fabric sales rep comes in, they're always showing us examples of patterns that we could make their fabrics into. And I'm like, oh, this is a great design. By Charisma Horton. Oh, this is a great design. Oh, Charisma Horton. I thought it was kind of ironic that it was. So anything about this quilt?
Innovations was designed because I had a challenge of taking a modern or a pinwheel and making it modern. And so that was my just taking a everyday pinwheel that we all know and love and putting a different spin on it. And then I just arranged them in a different way to form those little circles. And it just became, you know, and the funny thing about that is I got a lot of attention for that quilt because I posed it on my bug, and there's a few different shots of it on my bug. And the thing about that is that I had taken that quilt out to like 3 different parks and a lake, and I could not get a good picture. And what happened was all of a sudden I was loading the car with some other things, and my husband had the top down. And I laid it on the back of the bug, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have done this in my front yard, you know. So I took the picture and I was like, there it is. I've been sweating all of this. I've been hiking through the woods in the sagebrush, and I couldn't get a picture, and there it is on the bug, and there you go. So
And Charisma, one of the things that we loved about this pattern was that you incorporated large prints and that maybe I wouldn't have thought of putting into this particular block, as well as more solid pieces. And so we haven't made it yet, but we put together a fat quarter bundle that we thought would be perfect for this because it had that bigger print that, you know, you want to figure out how to use it in a block and stuff. And so we actually have a couple fat quarter bundles specifically for this pattern. If somebody comes in and does it, but we haven't had time to make it yet, but we will at some point.
well, it's a versatile pattern because it is fat quarter friendly and it comes in 2 sizes. But you know, the thing about the whole pattern thing is that I have consistently broken the rules about patterns. You know, before I was a designer, I didn't work so much in solids. You would never know that now when you look at my patterns, because a lot of them use solids. But before I was a designer, I would mix and match small and large prints, stripes, plaids. I never cared like which way they were facing. And people would always remark on that, but I just liked the texture. And that's also why I am, I think, a popular long arm quilter. I always have a lot of quilts because it's really all about texture for me. So I like to mix and match a lot of textures, whether I'm quilting or the fabrics that I choose, you know, texture is a huge thing for me. So whether I create it or I use it in fabrics, that's a design element that I use a lot.
That is awesome. That's all great information. Let me see here. Oh, hold on. I accidentally went back. I wanted to go back one more time. There was one more pattern. And then do you have anything that you want to share now that you've got video? Oh, dang it.
Well,
Dang it. We love technology. See, I keep hitting the wrong, it's not letting me, I'm trying to get underneath this. There we go. Hold on. And then we have this one I love, Starberry Jam.
Oh yeah. So the funny thing about that is that I designed that, and I originally designed it for a Quilt of Valor project, and I used red, white, and blue. But then that Christmas, Moda put out that line called Cinnaberry by Three Sisters, and I just love all Three Sisters lines. I've always been a big fan of their work. And so I just made it in a Cinnaberry jelly roll, and it turned out so beautiful. And anyway, so because it's just like that 2-color, it's like cream tan and red prints. It just worked out so beautifully that I didn't end up making it a Quilt of Valor project, and then it became Starberry Jam. So sometimes the fabric will dictate the end result.
Yeah. And when we looked at this, we're finding that we're needing more and more baby quilts that, how do you want to say that? Maybe it's because of the colors they choose that they become baby quilts. And we actually are thinking about making this in a series of grays and yellows.
That would be beautiful. Yeah.
Because we thought we have a lot of people that come in looking for baby quilts, and they are using that gray, gray colors and stuff. So we thought we'd be, doing that. So anyway, okay. So do you have something now? Would you like to share your screen, or do you have something?
Well, I brought some of my penny note patterns or books here because I know that was the pattern that you guys are working on, or was the pattern of the month. And so I brought the little chicken, and on the back, she's, it says be classy and fabulous. She was my classy and fabulous chicken. So, so if you wanted to go over stitches or anything like that, but I have several of them because these were just fun. I have several of these patterns, and each pattern has like 4 designs in them, but I have a lot of them that aren't in a pattern.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, she just popped up for me. I didn't see her before. Oh, I love those.
Yeah, so okay, there we go. I have to use my phone, and then you guys can see it on that. So anyway, weird. So I just kind of make them up as I go. And so but on the back, I always have some sort of, maybe this says, let love grow. I have some sort of quote, or just some random thing. This one isn't a pattern. I just was kind of playing with some of the square, yes, that they call them like confetti squares or whatever. And I just kind of play. But these little washers right here, I just go onto Amazon and I just buy plastic washers that they use in like hardware stores or whatever. And then I stitch over them. So it gives it a little bit of dimension. And then on the back of this one, I didn't actually put a quote. I just took all of my leftover scraps of thread from the embroidery and then just stitched along to give it some texture and interest. And this one, I just was kind of, my grandma is from Iceland on one side, and then the other side is Swedish. So some of the Scandinavian designs kind of appeal to me. So I'm always kind of looking at that. So this is kind of my little rendition of like Scandinavian flowers, sort of a thing. So, and you'll see in the pattern too, I have a YouTube channel. So if there's any questions on any of the stitches that you have, you can just go to the YouTube channel that I have. None of the videos are professional because I just made those for my friends before I was a designer. But all of the stitches that I use, I have a tutorial there to go over the stitches if you need any help with any of those. So, does anybody have any questions?
Can I see the chicken? I didn't get to see the chicken.
Yeah.
Or the chick.
Yeah, I was too slow in getting her spotlighted for you.
Oh, she's so cute. Yeah, she looks, it's cuter there than it is in the pattern.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to photograph them.
Okay,
So
I just love them. I'm planning on making them for Christmas. They're
that's
awesome.
what I did for my girlfriends too, is we decided to exchange these little notebooks, and I just find the notebooks at the Dollar Tree. So
And
they're
I
hard
took your
enough.
advice. I took your advice on that, and I
Oh, good.
found them as well for everybody.
Oh,
So,
good. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So
Does anybody
And-
have any specific questions for Charisma on the books while she has them there? And if you've any of the stitches or anything that she's doing?
And this
Ooh.
one, I have a couple of these where I just took scraps of fabric and I sort of improv piece them, and then I just traced the design on top of it, and then, you know, put my wool pennies on just to give a little bit of extra, I don't know, color, pizzazz, whatever. So typically I use linen, but you can do scrappy patchwork.
How long does it take you to make one, Charisma?
Pretty.
Well, you know, I'm pretty quick, and so I can get one done in an evening, or, well, I should say one side done in an evening, I guess, but that's also just because I stitch every day. So for me, as long as I have an idea and I don't get like that sit and stare, like, what am I going to do on this penny? Then, but you know, if they're all like already planned out, I can just get the stitching done real quick. And here's another one with the little bird and the flowers. It's pretty simplistic. These ones are pretty simplistic because there's not that many pennies. And then, so I just put a little bit more on the back, and I just kind of freehand it, but you know, you don't have to do that. So
is that a washer? Again, flip it back to the other side. Is that a
Yeah.
washer in there?
yeah, so this is like a ring. So they're like rounded and the washers are flat, and I just do the same thing. I just go to Ace or a hardware store or Amazon, and you can just buy like the little packs, and they have them in different sizes, like a variety pack, and they're like pennies. So it's like no big
What a
deal. They're really cheap.
What a fun detail. And
Yeah.
it's always fun to visit the hardware store and find things that you can use. So that's awesome.
I know. Well, you got to do something while they're browsing the tools, right? And so I was like, I think I can do something with these. And I did. So, and it just adds a really good dimension to it. And I'm like, again, no rules, you know, who cares? Nobody's going to be ripping out the stitches to see what's underneath it. So, and then I just kind of did like one that's sort of, you know, mid-century modern. I kind of always look at that kind of art on the internet, and so I just kind of made my own little, you know, mid-century modern type of a piece.
When you are doing your embroidery, do you have like a few favorite stitches you always go to, and like do you tend to build up, like start with one stitch and then build up on top of that, or do you kind of keep your stitches separate? You know, how do you do that?
Well, so for me, I when I started stitching and like really playing with like different threads and stuff, and I think the journals are a great thing for that, because it's not a huge investment of time, right? So if you don't love a penny, it's 1.5 inches or 1 inch big. So I don't ever like get caught up in like, oh, I don't particularly like that one, I'll just move on to the next one. I don't rip anything out. So I started playing with weights of threads. And so that was really what was most important to me, because if I'm going to spend all that time wrapping a stitch, I want to see it. So a lot of times I'll go ahead and use 6 strands of DMC floss. So you're going to see a lot of French knots, and you're going to see a lot of bullion stitches and the drizzle stitch. And I really love those wrap stitches because, again, it goes back to texture for me. So you're probably going to see that in every single wool penny project that I have. You're going to see a French knot, drizzle stitch, the bullion, and then I'll
Can you show us a drizzle stitch?
Oh yeah, the drizzle stitch is like,
Because that's
right.
not what I'm.
Okay, this one has a really good drizzle stitch. Okay, so that's this one right here. And I'll try, and I have a video on it too, so you can kind of see, but it's in this. Can let me
Yeah,
see
so
if
it's
there's-
it's dimensional.
Yes, so what it is it's like it's a wrapped stitch. So it's like a bullion, except for it just stands straight up. It doesn't loop over like a let me see if maybe that one. And you can wrap it however long your needle is. So sometimes you can have a drizzle stitch that's an inch long, or you can have one that's half an inch long, whatever. So you can create a lot of dimension. Like on the chickie, instead of this swirl, I could have put like a bunch of drizzle stitches in all different sizes and like really given her hair some dimension, but I wanted to kind of match the tail. But when you look at her swirls too, you're going to see that I did the stitch with 6 strands of DMC floss because I really wanted it to stand out. But her feet weren't that, I didn't need them to be as prominent so I just went ahead and used pearl cotton for her feet because that wasn't the important part. Her important part is like all of the pizzazz. So same with the chain stitch on this part of her body, and the bullion, I used 6 strands of DMC floss because I really wanted those to stand out.
And when you said you have a video, is it on a YouTube channel?
Yeah, just Charisma's Corner. So if you go to Charisma's Corner, you'll see.
I'm pulling it up so we can make sure that there we are. All right, here we go. I got to subscribe. I haven't subscribed to that. All right, you got a new subscriber. It's me. And so, can I share my screen again real quick so that everybody can see where I'm at?
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
so let me go back here so that everybody can. Oh my gosh, there's way too many buttons. Way too many buttons. Here we go. Here we go.
And you'll also see the very first video that I did was a video to show you how I start just a wool penny project, the whole process of making the grid, how to adhere the pennies, how I stitch them down to get everything started. And then there's another video that shows you how I, finish it, some quilting ideas and some other things. But then there's tons of videos about the stitches. So
I see here's the drizzle stitch. Here we go. Yep. I won't play it at the moment, but yeah, it actually says drizzle stitch by Charisma. So there you go. So, and awesome. And do you mind if we share some of these to our Hen and Chick Studio page? Because I think
go ahead.
I think our customers would love that, and we could, hopefully, like I see over here, there's a how to stitch the double cast on drizzle stitch. So lots of good stitch videos. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. Do any of you all have questions? Or any of you have questions about those stitches as we're on this page? Otherwise, I'll get off the YouTube page.
There's a ton of information there. Thank you for showing us that. That's amazing.
No problem. It might seem overwhelming at first, but once you start, you'll figure out that it's really not that much, and it really does. You'll start to just learn really quickly if you don't know all of the stitches, and they all build upon one another. Once you know how to do a wrapped stitch, they all pretty much are the same. I think it's just a matter of, okay, which way do you turn the needle here? How many times do you wrap it there? That sort of thing. So they all just sort of build on each other. So once you got the French knot down, then you can do a bullion. After you do the bullion, you'll know how to do all the rest of the stitches. So
that is awesome. I'm recording this, and I'll send the recording to those who weren't able to join us. And I'll make sure in that email, I also put a link into your YouTube page.
Okay,
so that people can find those stitches. And then, so all of you, even those of you attending right now, will get that email again. I'll send it out tomorrow. So
Great.
Can you show the one little book that had the, is it a feather stitch or something on the spine? Or the binding, like a,
oh, yeah.
yeah, that
So
adds,
this- yeah, so I try to find different ways to decorate them. This one also, I just did like random stitches in the spine. This one, again, is just some patchwork, and I found this, like, I don't know what kind of, like a double knit fabric. I don't know. It's kind of textured, so I just kind of wanted to play with it. And some twill or whatever that is. And then I just kind of stitched the binding, and I just think that there's different ways, you know. I think you could also like put a special message in the cover of them, personalize it for your friends. You could even put your initials on there, you know.
they're really cute.
Thank you.
I love books like that, and things like that you can keep. It's fun to be able to go around with them and stuff. Anything else, Charisma, you'd like to share? That's been awesome. We've all already learned something. I love it.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm so glad that we got technology to kind of cooperate a little bit. So, I don't know if anybody has any questions about anything else, quilting, or maybe you have questions about the design business or anything like that. I mean, I could blab on about myself a little bit more, whatever you guys want.
Well, why don't you, do you have a question? Does somebody have a question?
I had a question about, is it Starberry Jam, that
Yeah.
pattern? Is that all, is that all jelly roll? Is that a jelly roll pattern?
It is jelly roll friendly. So all of the strip there use a jelly roll, but for the star portion of the block, you do need to have just some extra yardage that goes with it. So and it is written on the back of the pattern too. So yeah, a jelly roll, and then you'll just need a little bit extra yardage for background and the stars.
Okay. Well, I think it's very interesting. You're so young to me. How did you get, you're very accomplished already. How did you get going?
Well, I'm not that young. I have 6 kids. So
Yeah, when she told me she had 6 kids and the youngest one is at home and the rest of them are all older, I'm like, yeah, you do not look old enough to have 6 kids.
No.
yeah. So I actually got started in my early 20s. I didn't have any makers really in my family, and I come from a really terrible background. But when I was in high school, I had a really good group of girlfriends, and one of my bestie's mom taught me how to embroider. And so I would just embroider, and I picked it up, and here and there before YouTube and all of those other things, and many times with the seam ripper, I just taught myself how to quilt. And then when I kind of moved here to Ephrata about 18 years ago in Central Washington, I took a quilting class because I thought, well, I maybe need to find out what the real rules for quilting are. And since I had taught myself, and ever since then, I just sort of just started, and I started out sewing on my kitchen table, and but we always ate dinner as a family together, so I'd always have to take it off and redo everything. And then I decided, well, I maybe should invest in a sewing machine. And I remember this because I'm going to tell you this story. It's kind of a funny story. I was so scared to buy anything off the internet because I'd heard all of these people talk about these horror stories of how they bought stuff on the internet, because this was 20 years ago. And so I told my husband, and we just did not have that much money, and I spent, I think it was $600 or $800 on this Janome sewing machine. And I was just so stressed out about it. And it was like from So Direct or So Vac or something like that, that, you know, has been in business for a long time. I think probably millions of people have brought machines from them, but at the time I didn't know anything. So I told him, hey, the machine is supposed to be coming today. And I was at work and he was at home with the kids. And I said, just make sure that when a box comes that you get it off the porch or, you know, whatever. We live in a small town. We're not worried about something stealing. I just want to make sure that it showed up. And so when I get home, I see this box on the porch and I'm like, oh my gosh, my sewing machine is here. I'm so excited. And I bring it in and I open it up and everybody's around me. And I open it up and there's a rock in there and it has a note taped to it and it says sucker. And I just started crying. I was so upset. I was like, oh my gosh, somebody totally scammed me off the internet. I'd never bought anything off the internet. And then my kids start laughing.
Oh.
And I was like, what? And then they pulled the machine out of the attic and gave it to me because I don't think that they really thought that the joke would go bad, that I would just start crying because, you know, I didn't have $800 to waste or whatever it was. And so I was just like, okay, that went sour on you guys. And they're like, do you know how long it took us to get that Janome tape to line up perfectly so you wouldn't know that we had tampered with the box? And I'm like, that's what you get. That is totally what you get. So yeah, we that's a famous family story that they are so proud of, you know, but and that is pretty much my whole life. This is the stuff that they do to me on a regular basis, and I have to live with these things. So it is a nonstop party at my expense.
Too funny. Do you have, I see the stack of quilts behind you, because you're a long armor, and do you have any, a quilt that we could see that would showcase your quilting as well?
Well, all of these are just ones that have been returned from the magazines recently, but I'm sure that I can. I'll actually show you one that I'm going to release like in the next couple of days, and I really love the
so it's
quilting on-
top secret and we can't tell anybody about it for, you know, until we see
Yes,
it out
for
there.
the next couple of days you can't, but just a minute, let me go run and get it.
Okay. Well, awesome. And then if anybody's got any other questions for her when we come back, as we're starting to approach the top of the hour.
Great program, Heidi.
Well, good. Good. I've loved chatting with her and getting to know her a little better too. And I just thought, and so that's because I also had a conflict on Monday, but I wondered if the evening would work better for some people. I know sometimes the day is harder. So that's, you know, one other thing. Okay, so here she comes.
Wonder if we're gonna be able to see it.
Oh, I can.
Oh my.
Like a modern Dresden plate.
Yes, it is.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Oh, how
Yeah.
fun.
Can you see all the colors? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Turn the corner so we can see the yellow. I can see yellow at the bottom, or flip it upside down. They can get an idea of the other. Now, where's that man that was lurking in the back? He needs to help you hold the quilt.
He's putting a rock in a box.
That's right.
I
Well,
love
that,
it.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A sneak
That's
peek.
very cool.
So is that a new pattern that you're selling?
Yes, it's called Flourish. So it has the black and white strips and then modern Dresden plates in the colors aqua and blue and pink and the yellow and the orange. So I'm gonna see if I have a picture of it, but
Yeah, very, very fun and cheerful.
yes.
Right. Does anybody else have questions or comments or anything for Charisma?
Yeah, keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you.
You keep inspiring us.
All right. Thank you so much.
It's nice to have you on.
Thank you.
And I don't know, Charisma, if you were on at the very beginning, but we have South Dakota, Alaska, and Iowa represented today,
Oh, and Washington.
and Washington.
Washington.
So that is wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening, Charisma. It has been fun to get to see a little bit more of what you've got going on there. It gets me excited to be pulling out my handwork and doing some more embroidery. And I know Melissa, if she's still, I see she's still on. She's traveling. Yep, good. And she actually took embroidery with her. She's on her way from Iowa to Florida. And so she's got embroidery with her to work on. So she's got new inspiration and videos to watch on that trip all the way to Florida. She can start.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tom can keep driving and you just watch the videos. Yeah. And
Maybe I want to watch the videos.
well, maybe you do. Maybe you do.
Shirley teaches our local embroidery class on with wool at our
Oh.
local shop.
Well, that's
Yes.
awesome. You like
She
to
does
do
really
that kind
nice
of stuff.
work too. Yep.
Hmm.
She's trying to get me started, but I can't get pulled away from the quilts. I have all the
Well,
stuff.
Well,
There'll be a
it's-
time.
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
it's really hard to.
Steve,
'Cause
could
I
you
like
turn the
everything.
TV off? Oh, for just a little bit. Turn the sound
Yeah.
down.
Me too.
Yes.
So I
Well,
keep buying the kids. I'll probably be in the nursing home working on wool.
Yeah, I got to get her going on that.
Hopefully she's in the same room so she can help me.
awesome. Well, everybody,
Thanks a lot.
I'm very glad you all could join us. And like I said, tomorrow I'll send a follow-up email so
Okay,
that
I
I
turned
give
it
you
off now,
the
Steve.
link,
It's on mute.
linked on the link to the to her YouTube channel and stuff. And we'll have to keep getting more and more patterns in from you, Charisma, because I can see that I have a feeling we'll have some interest in them too.
All right, great.
All
Thank you
right.
so much, ladies.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you another time.
All right.
See you
thanks.
Monday.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.